Welcome. This is Crime Queen, and if you're joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we get excited about love. This is where we ignite that which dwells from within us, that which comes alive, makes us smile, makes us laugh. Hence, we say the crimson light is alive. So, the crimson light is our journey to actualizing self-full love. This is where we have fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. On this journey, we have explored our features, we have explored our senses, we are exploring all of these to make sense of who we really are in terms of the one of the events or historical or biblical events that has really shaped our lives, the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. So we are looking at sacrifice. We are looking at how we can really make sense of sacrifice in our lives. Of course, because we are doing those sacrificial acts every day, or we are exhibiting or exercising delayed gratification, or we are trying to please a loved one. We are doing those things. So there we are exploring sacrifice. Now, just need to get my board so we can remind ourselves to open our third eye. I am glad when I just picked it up, and this is the side that we really want to be talking about, and this is our template. We call upon Mother Eve. We call upon revelation. We call upon water. We call upon intuition. And yes, and of course, we call upon Jesus Christ. Yes, let us get the Spirit of Jesus Christ coming, speaking to us the words of wisdom, the truth that of the message that He really wants to teach us. Of course, when I began this, I was calling upon my elders, which is still constituents, you could say, of Jesus Christ, because that is faith and truth, conviction, endurance, and faith, and unity, and forgiveness. These are all aspects of Christ. So yes, so we can. It's nice to sort of call exactly what we want into being. So here we are about transparency. This is what we want to be doing so we can actually shed light, because we want light into what we are doing, because of course, like God, you know, look into the waters and it was void. We are merging, we are coming. We're not saying things are void, because of course Christ has come and had this sacrifice, and there is lots going on, but yet still there are things that are not very clear to us, and we are asking for guidance. We are asking for the way forward. Okay, and so we are saying to Christ as well. You talked about believe, 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 and faith. How are we to make sense of those in relation to the sacrifice? How are we to make sense of this for our evolution as mankind, for the greater good of all concerned? So this is what we are asking for right now. Okay, so and of course, very miraculously, God is always good of showing truth, because I would start with one word and I'd be very surprised of where it takes me to. So I'm looking at this because we've been talking about, oh yes, there was another thing I also want to mention, that when I speak of the number 6, I have mentioned it before, but when we speak of 6 on our template, the numerical value of the word name, when we do NAME, which is 5145, that equals 6. So there it is, that the name, in fact, we all come under that umbrella of name, man. Man and name becomes one. Okay, all right. So yes, so there's the text. In fact, I just wrote. Yes, I wrote this down because I really wanted to address this. I had done this intuitively on my presentations of doing this. You would see some of this on a presentation that is called a wonderful attraction or distraction, um, along those lines. And it was to do with that B column. This was where I felt that some people had discovered the formula, you could say, of creation or principles of creation, and have used it, not in the nicest way, not for the benefit of all mankind, which is what we are wanting to do here. And we see with that bee, like a beehive, as I say, and I sometimes feel I do not need to magnify that point so much, but I am trusting that the people who are joining us here, are of one spirit, one accord, that we are working for one agenda for the good of all mankind. So if there is something that I feel that could be of benefit to all of us, I would like to know that I can share freely. And so now I am trusting the guidance that I am receiving to do that with whatever little concern I had. So let it be so. And so the text that was concerning me, um, of course, we have done this. I hope you will check out the I am that I am um, presentations. That is very. I perhaps should have put a must see on it, but I don't like so much to do that. I like people to have that intuitive message of their own, that they know what they want to see. Okay, so I'm going to, yeah, wipe this off. So it is on that column of the beehive, that I felt, oh, okay, that I felt, I'm going to stick to red right now, okay, okay. Under the B column, because we have A, B, C, so there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we had the JAS, JAS, and the BKT. So it's under that BKT that I had no inclination to change its position, the position of those letters when I was doing the template. And then I later discovered, well, why it was so. And it was so because it's like I was guided to do this. It's as the higher intelligence had known that I would be sitting here and doing this presentation. It had known that the deepest desires of my heart was to share what I know and to learn for my own individual evolution. And so, with luck, under the number 3, and with development, DVM, and getting into a new, or realizing myself in the new position, the new column as Mother Eve, or Eve's daughter, that I am of Eve, and that I am of Christ, and that the Christ spirit reigns in me, and that the Eve spirit also reigns in me. And if we also learn, as God said, that is the beginning and the ending, so we have 5 and 5 is 10, which is of Christ and Eve, let's put it this way, but we know that works with Adam as well. So we see that 5 and 5 is 10, it goes back onto 1. So we see that that cycle, the 1 column, it's the cycle goes, there's a cycle here. However, we learn that the word beginning constitute of 9 here. It's 9, which is the inland revenue. This is the beginning. I'm believing now, because I thought beginning was, as we have learned, it's really here. But I am believing now the theory that when you are ready to build, or when you are ready to do something new, you are looking at the what's the word? You are looking at the sketch. You have the sketch of what you're going to do. You know, if you're building a house, is it going to be 300 square feet? So you have that outline, that boundary of what you are going to work in. In fact, I am also wanting to believe, because I have been investigating the word. I say investigating the word bless. It's like be less. And it's like the word be less is like denoting, in my understanding now, I may have to change this, but this is what I feel now. It's like setting the boundaries and saying it's no more. It's like saying it's no more than this. So, don't, look at more than this. This is be less. Also, I think it has other lessons to it, or other essence to it, is that there comes a time where we have to let go of things that we no longer need, and to be less. It may seem that we are less, but we are going for more, hence the term more or less as well. Okay, but this is not what we are looking at here now, is this column here. So what I have come to understand, that 13, which is B, but has the face value of 2, meaning that from what presentations we have been doing, we see that God done everything in twos, 2 nostrils, 2 people, 2, and so on, and we were going on about that. However, we see with Christ at the Last Supper of 13, 12 disciples, and him being 13, that would also denote that that was from the beginning, because God is the beginning and the end. We heard that Christ is the second Adam, and whatever he was doing would be reflecting, it would be going back to the beginning. Hence, we have the 5 of Christ, and we have the number 9. Number 9 is in the sacrifice, and 5 is Christ. Christ's sacrifice. So we see that here, beginning and end. And when you are in Christ, you are a new creature. This is the column you get into. And as I say, the new creature under the 6 is the fox. And I'm not talking about Fox TV, but I'm talking about fox. And then from this journey, we do the gypsy journey, GPY. And we do 8 for headquarters zone, HQZ. Okay, so we do this. Now we know on this new column also is 3 5s are 15, 1 and 5 is 6. So we end up with 6 here. We have the, if you check the templates, we have the 369, 369, 369 that goes along here. Okay, so Christ in here, this column, which I am very concerned with, because I have been talking about the enormousness, or the great significance of that B, which is bonding, which is building, like one is building. It constitutes a foundation. How deep is that foundation? It also constitutes of a W. It constitutes of a 3. This is what happens here. So we know that it constitutes of 1, it constitutes of 3, it constitutes of 13, it constitutes of 4, 1 and 3 would be 4. It constitutes of an L on here, which is an additional 3. It constitutes of another 3 upside down with the L. It constitutes E. It also constitutes F. So there is so much going on in that bee. And then we understand why it is said when someone uses the term a beeline or a beehive. And we see that this gives us an indication of what happens when the bees are producing this honey. They are busy working, busy bodies. We see that bee is in there. Business, we see that bee is here. James Bond, the bonding happens there. So with the 13, we know that it denoted a bond that was happening there with the Last Supper, with Christ giving of the bread, breaking of the bread, and giving of the wine, and saying, "This is of my body and this is of my blood." Every time you do this, which was denoting that there would be a ritual of doing this, or they were expected to do this every time you do this, or maybe they were doing it before. Do this, remember me. Remember me, because he was no longer to be there in that physical sense anymore, but this is what would happen. This in itself is also denoting that the benefits of us getting into good rituals. We are always in rituals, whether we want to believe it or not, because we get up every morning and we brush our teeth. That is a ritual. We go to bed every night. That is a ritual. We eat at 12 is a ritual. Everything we do is a ritual. In fact, we're probably living in rituals more than we are doing anything new than the breath that we take in, which is new each time, but we don't even often pay attention to that. So we are constantly living in ritual. So how about we become conscious of what rituals that we are practicing? So we see sometimes we talk about rituals, and some people think, oh no, rituals are evil. We forget that everything that we are doing, you go to the bus a certain time, it's a ritual. You go to sit at your desk every time, it's a ritual. That's what we do. So here we are in the new, but when we are in the new, and this is where the new position was, that our eyes are open to be able to see what rituals we want to take on and what rituals we want to let go of. We see that happened with Paul. There were times where he says, most everything is good, but not all things edify. So you may be doing something good, but it may not be of benefit to you. But back onto that bee, we have also done this about the Bible, which also shows the bee. I'll do this. So there is the Bible is Bible, and then we could put all of this into here. Now, this is not because we don't quite understand certain aspects of that function in the big world, that it has no impact on us. It has a great impact on us. It is people who have learned to master the art of knowing how that function works, that contakes the idea and philosophy of controlling others who do not take the time to understand the functions of what happens. It's just like if you, for instance, we could take one thought, because everything comes into thought form before it comes into manifestation. We could take one thought and then we have a long trail with it. We can intensify that thought. We can bring all different aspects of our sensory modalities working together to intensify that thought and to bring it into manifestation. This is what a lot of people have learned to do with the bee. It's like a representation of what happens. So there we are with that bee. B-I, this is I, B, L, E. E. There's the Bible. That's the Bible. This is done with intention. I am doing this because I believe that when we see symbols when we see signs and symbols, they hold the same significance. It's that we can learn how to harness the good that we are, and we all have or harness on a truth of what has been given to us to create, to replenish, to subdue that which was passed on to us from Genesis. So now this is why I would have been referring to the three as a worm. So this is where I'm coming into. This is gonna be long, but it's okay. So this is W. I have been talking about when we are faced with W, we are faced with the other part of who we are. This is a mirror, reflection. So this is M, this is M, this is 3, and this is E. So we have our north, south, east, and west. Now they are here, and I am very tempted into saying that this is really representing, no matter where we turn, no matter whether we look up, no matter whether we look down, or wherever it is, we are faced with our W. We are faced with that other you. Whether that W is of who we are and the God Spirit that dwells in us, because we cannot see ourselves in ourselves. It could be whatever we are facing or doing, there is the reflection of our W here. Now that is the worm. That is the worm I have been talking about. And the worm is able to go in any direction. Now that worm here, of course, is the number 3, as I've said. What I saw with that number is that it also did represent a handcuff, which is so a handcuff has a link here, and it's like this. But a wrist goes into it, W, another W, the wrist, and then it gets locked up. So the person that expands out, then this link expands out and it becomes round, and of course one's hand is locked in. Okay, so this is what happens in that B section here, because when it is locked, this is representing the lock, there is representing the bond. Now, this also represents the bond of where, because we see 13 here, where Christ had this Last Supper, it was 13 there, 13 of them at the table. There was a bond, there was a unity or unified spirit. Of course, we learn about Judas betraying, and it would seem to give the indication that 12 remained, but we know about there was Paul, but it didn't break that number of 13. 13 was 13 at that time, was 13. At a table, a lot of things are shared, not just food and menu. Conversations are shared, hearts are open, secrets are revealed, deals are made, hands are shaken, smiles are shared. At a table, when people are eating, they are more likely to agree. And I'm just hearing the word agree, and greed comes to the fore. So those things happen at the table, and there was the bonding and the secret of what was happening. We say secret because whatever was happening there, but that was happening in a high chamber, we believe. So in that high chamber, whatever was taking place, so that also denotes a principle of what can happen into the real world. When we say the real world, it happens, it's a principle that happens in business, it happens in the home, it could happen anywhere. People could make reference back to saying, oh, you remember when we were at that table, when we were at your house, and we had this lovely meal, and we spoke about this and we said we would do that, and those things will happen. Or how about again we meet next week at yours or somewhere else, and you see that ritual happens and reinforces that bond that happens. So Christ was giving a very useful lesson in what we could do to unite and to work together as one for the greater good of all concerned. And of course, we see that, of course, this has been something that has been manipulated, but we need to understand the principles lies there for us. Okay, so back to this is going to be a long presentation, but I'm thinking perhaps I ought to really make it another presentation because it's going to be quite long. And yes, so let's wrap this one up, but also this three comes in like the S here, which is also what I call the worm as well. But the worm, which is W, worm, this is what I'm going to do the next presentation on. So join me on worm 2. Worm to actualizing self-love. All right, thank you for watching. I hope you have found this beneficial. It's really like the introduction now to this subject, which it might take a little bit more than 2 or presentations. So thank you for watching. I hope you have found this beneficial. I hope you have found it fun. If you like this presentation, click the like button and share and subscribe and leave your comments. And in the meantime, be blessed, stay bright, and be fulfilled, because we are planting new seeds. Why? Because we want to move over to the right. Okay, we are moving to the right. Okay, stay ignited. Namaste. And spill over with love.